My name is Charles Washington. I'm an artist. I'm also a teacher, and I consider myself as a professional thinker. Life inspires me, and the process of knowing that I'm on my journey.
Mr. Washington and I met probably 20 years ago when I was on Houston City Council at the time. And he had a compelling story. I don't know how our paths actually crossed, but certainly had a very compelling story about how he had risen from where he was to where he is today in terms of being an artist. We were very much into presenting the annual Mayor's Jazz Festival. We thought it was a great idea. And so Charles kind of came into that fold as well, because he brought the talent of the arts to it, in which it would be a great opportunity for him to display some of his works, and again use it as an educational tool, and for us to really push the social enterprise concept of small business being nurtured and incubated in a space such as this.
The beginning of my art really was started in being competitive. My family migrated from Charleston, South Carolina, and my dad, his education was zero. We moved close to the suburbs of, the areas that was basically white, that was pretty much thriving, in New Jersey at that time. And I was the only black child in the school. I used to come in and really get involved into the art, but also it was a peace of mind. It was an outlet, to me. And that created habit, along with my sports. I was very good at football and basketball, and there was a gentleman named Mark Chitwood. He was an ex-Marine, and he was from Jersey City. He was also my football halfback coach. And we had this game, and we were being beaten up, and it was halftime. And this is what he told me, halftime. He says, what I want you to do the first time, you got to keep pushing, you got to keep hitting, and it's going to open up for you. It's going to open up for you. You got to keep hitting, you got to keep going. It's going to open up for you. The first playoff scrimmage, I ran an 89-yard touchdown. 89-yard touchdown, and I never forgot that. It was the voice of, you got to keep pushing, you got to keep hitting. It's with me now, it really gives me that feeling of understanding that sometimes people are watching you. They're seeing things that you are not able to see, and not just about the physical part of it, but he saw something in me because he taught me things that I may underestimated myself about my ability, not only in basketball, but in football too, and I never forgot that. When I was in a homeless situation, I was all, in that downward situation, those voices was always resonating in my mind. Just keep pushing. It's gonna be an opening. I lived in an apartment, with my wife and my child, and at the time, I was just living off my artwork. I lived on the southwest side of town. I was actually on a vacation. So I went back to New Jersey and decided to, move here to Texas, and I lived in New York, but I wasn't able to really get my art together. It was too much. And at the time, that's what I was living off of. And the rent was due, so I went to get all that stuff together, and at the time, they did not have any love, these rent places. So when we got back, they had locked the doors. So I had about $500, made up from that, but it was too late. They took all the stuff that we had, other than what we packed in our vehicle. I had a red Volvo station wagon. We lived out of our vehicle, trying to find a location. It was actually going towards the holidays, so people were more focused towards Christmas and things in that form, So then we actually went to the Salvation Army and lived there, and there was a Methodist church on actually Highway 6 in BeachNet that actually took us in, that was a blessing. And it was a Reverend Long that was the person that was there. You talk about being an artist, you don't know what you're going to go through, and more important, you don't know who are you going to meet or encounter, and the relationship that you build is far more an investment than the money that you actually accumulate, through that period of time. And it also helps you create a character and really solidify that you're going in the right direction and your purpose, Anything that I've created, it was started from this piece here. The blanket is a point of reference, It's actually tells about my story, my family, and just the whole process of how you can use whatever you have to be able to strive. Being in a homeless situation, it was tough. This here is what you call the epitome of what Houston's all about, and also where I'm at right now in life. You have to start from a certain point and use it as a point of reference and go forward. This piece right here was created with rags and things that was actually in the time that I was homeless. After I got through all that, I went back. I went back to New Jersey, to Mark Chitwood. Matter of fact, through the process after I got somewhat successful in my art, I used to send things back to him, because he became a principal at one of the intermediate schools I actually graduated from. And it was funny when I finally came back, because I was sending things. When I walked into the office, I looked up on the wall in the office. All of my work that I sent him was on the wall. And it was funny because he takes me back in the office. He kicks his feet up on the table, and shuts the door. And I don't want to use the words he used, but he said, "You know what? Anytime they come in here," I said, "you don't have no excuse. You see that work up there? I don't." He spoke of me. And he said, "You don't have no excuse because that guy did it too." And it never left me, Those reasons of what I'm doing now, started back then, is not where I'm all of a sudden just doing these things. It's part of who I am from the time I was built up to this point. I think about things in a fashion where you have a reason for being here. And when you understand that, you work on those things regardless of what condition, in what situation you place yourself, or yourself's been placed in, because you got to keep hitting until that door is open, and then you go to another level. And a thought becomes material, because everything that you think about being, you definitely will become. And if you work on it from that standpoint, you'll never be unsuccessful. There's a moment where you think that it's all over, but when you think that, it will be. But if you think it's going to be successful, that's the moment that you're going to be on top. I'm using that as a mark to say life is very important, and but even more important is your legacy and what you leave behind, because that creates a stability for those who are coming after you.